you ever noticed there's no shortage of jerks in the world? You may be looking at one right now. No, hopefully not. But nobody gets to the end of their life and is like, wait, what? There were jerks on Earth? This is news to me. You know, we all meet too many of them. You probably ran into one today already. There's no shortage of people out there who really met too many jerks themselves. And, you know, they just were all sponges and they absorbed that energy. They channel their pain and hurt in the only way they know how, which is to give it to others and hurt others. You ever notice how you are walking down the street and someone bumps into you and you're like, ugh, you didn't even apologize. Everyone's a jerk these days. Why is everyone such a awful a-hole? Well, you know, we don't think to ourselves, 1,000 other people on the way to work didn't bump into us. You know, they were mindful, they were kind. They might have apologized if they bumped into us. But we focus on that one person, the super small minority of people who ruined our entire perception of humanity. This can be at a party when someone's being belligerent, or a coworker who is being difficult and mean. And we can just get so disheartened with humanity. We can just lose all faith in humanity. We can say, everyone's the worst. I don't even want to know anyone anymore. But again, we are putting 100% of our focus on 1% of the people of our actual experience of reality. This is the power that jerks have to steal our attention and to steal our joy. And are we really going to let these jerks have that power to steal our joy and attention? Or are we going to reclaim our attention and joy, lock it up in a little safe, spin the knob so no one can open it, and protect our own mental peace and the most priceless thing we have, which is our awareness and attention and the power to choose where we focus it. If we do not have the power to choose where we put our focus, we are not truly free beings. We are slaves. And liberation is about taking back that freedom. And we can do it in a brutal dictatorship or a country with unlimited freedom. We can be internally free. And if we don't have that kind of freedom, it doesn't matter where we live, because we are living out the mad visions of the jerks. And simply by redirecting our focus, by readjusting our perspective and remembering the fact of reality that it is so much more peaceful than it is chaotic, that most of the world is beautiful, untouched nature, but we humans just tend to focus on the cities, on what's the loudest and most chaotic. But we can take that power back and put that direction anywhere we like, and simply by staying present and aware of those quiet folks, the people that didn't try to steal our attention, the people who go unnoticed. By just that subtle shift in our focus and attention, we bring infinite peace into our lives. And I think it's so funny that we also look through history and we look at these people that chop down massive forests to build pyramids or to build monuments to themselves. And we never truly put enough value on those tribes, villages that lived with nature, that decided that they shouldn't necessarily cut down the forest to build a statue to the guy who's been dead for 500 years and leaving a better world to the future. And so I think the more we just shift our focus to what we find desirable, we will notice the world is infinitely more appealing than we ever thought possible. We're all going to be faced with people who won't accept us, won't approve of us, who will judge us, hurt us, ridicule us, hurt our feelings, and not care at all. So, really the only way to deal with people who don't show us the kind of compassion that we would show to everybody else is not to hate them, not to get angry at them, not to get mad, not to even just be angry or hurt or sad in silence. It is always to love ourselves more. When we love ourselves totally and completely, 100%, then other people's praise or blame, criticism or compliments, it barely registers because we are radiating such love. And it becomes essential that, especially when we're hurt, that we stay mindful of how we're talking to ourselves, that we don't avoid ourselves, ignore ourselves, neglect ourselves, but we actually spend some time with ourselves, pay attention to ourselves, notice how we're speaking to ourselves. And if we're speaking to ourselves in a negative way, then that is the sign that we need to really explore why we're doing that and see if we can reshape that voice. And this is something we can all do. We are all capable of feeding good, positive, healthy influences into our brain so that it becomes second nature to love ourselves, to love our fellow humans. And I think it's an essential counterbalance to when we come across those jerks and assholes in our lives. So sometimes it can be, we think of self-love, we think of spa days, we think of a bathtub with candles, and that's all wonderful. But the greatest gift we can give anyone is our attention. There is no act of love greater than giving another person your full and undivided, focused and sustained attention. And we do that the same to ourselves. We just sit with ourselves without distractions. We let it have a temper tantrum if that's what's going on. And then we hug it, metaphorically. Or literally, if you want to, you can also do that. But, the solution is never anger, hatred, giving our pain to someone else, becoming those jerks we so desperately wish could change into loving, kind beings. And instead, we have compassion, we have sympathy, we have empathy, and we have understanding that they don't mean what they are doing. My favorite thing is to assume not that everyone is a great person, but assume that everybody is trying to be. They might not always be capable of it. They might fail many times, but when you just simply have this belief that everyone is good deep down beneath the jerk, then we find it so much easier to have a positive attitude about humanity and life, and we still are not being naive and getting taken advantage of. So these are the ways to deal with jerks, and I hope it works for you. Recently, like so many of us, I've experienced some tragedies in my life, some loss of some very close people. And that is what inspired me to write this book, Grief and Spiritual Healing, because the teachings I lay out here are what helped me survive and get through such a horrible time And I hope that these teachings can help you and your loved ones as well. It's available on Amazon in print and Kindle. And all the profits will go to a nonprofit foundation to help other people grieving.